Yeah, what's really good, man? It's your boy, Give It Up 100. I'm back. Yo, you ever wonder what the world gonna look like by 2050? Well, I got a video for y'all. It's coming off of a website where they're projecting what the world gonna look like by 2050. All right. Now, judging, say the past 50 years, go all the way back to say the 70s, right? Is that 50 years or the 80s? I think the 70s. So in the 70s era, it was, for one, the eras change every 10 years. That's a fact, right? So in the 70s, it was like, hippie type era, you know what I mean? A lot of drugs, LSD, acid, all that. The 80s was cool. Then you got the crack era, mid to late 80s. The 90s was, real good, but it was very violent. Then you got the 2000s, that was just pretty much fun and the beginning of the dumbing down of everything, right? And then the 20s now is just satanic. It's just straight hell, straight demonic. They're on stage, marketing Satan right to your eyes and making Satan look cool and look like, he should be a part of society and all of that. So thinking about what the world gonna look like, say, 30 years or less than 30 years from now, which is like 27 years from now in 2050. So here's the projection for what the world will look like in 2050. All right, let's get into it. The first one will travel between cities in a human propulsion network. It says Elon Musk is currently working on a hyperloop network that would allow people to travel between cities in sealed pods, traveling up to 700 miles per hour. In the models, the human propulsion system could transport a commuter from New York City to Washington, D.C. in 29 minutes. Other concepts have been floated for plans, including from the Los Angeles to San Francisco and Chicago to Cleveland. The next one is there will be 3 times as many people. According to Pew Research Center study, the American population will explode, going from 329 million in 2018 to 438 million by 2050. The increase, which will represent more than a 33% change, will largely result from an influx of people into the country. In fact, it is estimated that 82% of the growth between 2005 and 2050 will be due to immigrants arriving and their descendants. The next one. It'll be hot as the Middle East in some U.S. cities. A Vox analyst of a recent report by the National Climate Assessment, the NCA, showed that almost every U.S. city will experience a temperature increase for both summer and winter averages by 2050, noting that in some places it will be so hot it's dangerous to go outside, quote unquote. According to Climate Central, future temperatures in some regions can be best compared to the Middle East. Las Vegas, for instance, will have summer highs projected at 111 degrees, comparable to temperatures in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and Phoenix will be like Kuwait City at a scorching 114 degrees. The next one is the economy will lag behind China and India. Global growth projections for 2050 conducted by auditing giant PricewaterhouseCoopers, the PwC, suggested that emerging markets may grow twice as fast as the world's advanced G7 economies, leading to America lagging behind. The company predicted that China will be in the first place by 2050, with India in second and the US coming in third. Some have disputed the estimates, noting how similar projections have failed in the past, when the institutions and policies that support the growth rates were not factored in. That's still serious. And the next one says, there will be even more women than men. Although men outnumber women in the United States in the mid-1800s, the statistics shifted dramatically during World War II, when the world draft depleted the American male population. Since then, women have been thriving demographically and continuously outpacing the growth of men. Although the percentage split of 49 to 50 will remain fairly close in 2050, The number of women in the US will have grown by 7.5 million more than US males. That's crazy. And the next one. People of color will be the majority. Predictions by the US Census Bureau indicate that by the time 2050 rolls around, 53% of the American population will be defined as multiracial or non-white. The white population will drop from 67% to 47%, with fertility being the driving force. The change in the racial demographics is expected to occur regardless of immigration policies. Quote, if you reduce new immigration to zero, you will still see growth in immigrant communities, more so than in white, native-born communities, said Randy Capps, Director of Research for U.S. Programs at the Migration Policy Institute. In an interview with Politico, quote, immigrants just have more children and have them younger, end quote. And the next one, fewer Americans will be getting married. Marriage rates have been steadily declining since the 1960s, and that trend will continue in 2050. In 1970, for example, about 60% of Americans were tying a knot. By 2013, it was down to roughly 50%, where it's remained for the better part of the 2010s. According to a report based on United States Census Bureau statistics, marriage will drop to a mere 40% by 2050, marking a 33% decrease since its peak. The next one. American homes will have heat and lights that follow you around. Rather than setting the thermostat at one uniform level or turning on a lamp to light the whole room, American homes of the future will have custom heat and light functioning that's directed right at you. The idea is that the heat and lighting would follow you around the house, keeping you well lit and at a comfortable temperature wherever you go. Wow. I'm gonna keep going. All right. Y'all having fun? Y'all having fun right now listening to how scary and how government control this world gonna be by 2050? That's what I'm getting. So we're gonna keep going. The next one. The percentage of Hispanics in America will increase from 18% in 2016 to 29% in 2050, representing an increase of nearly 1/3. Although the group represents the second fastest growing racial minority after Asians, the Hispanic population growth rate is actually slowing due to a combination of waning immigration from Mexico and declining fertility rates among Hispanic women. And the next one. The U.S. Defense Department is developing an Iron Man suit. Both Panasonic and Hyundai are creating similar robotic suits for the consumer labor sector. The robotic exoskeletons will help people lift exceptionally heavy objects and propel them up hills while walking or running, giving everyday people effective superpowers. By 2050, it could be commonplace then, especially for big businesses, to see labor forces made up of suit-wearing human-robot hybrids. And the next one. Fewer people will be completely uneducated. Despite concerns about potential declines in American educational attainment rates, the United States is currently more educated than it has been at any time in its past. In 2012, 88% of adults 25 and older had completed high school and 31% had completed a bachelor's degree. By 2050, the rate of Americans with no education at all is projected to decrease by 80%. Going from 0.25% in 2015 to just 0.05%. And the next one. Colleges and high schools won't use textbooks anymore. With the cost of U.S. college textbooks around $1,200 per year, affordability advocates have been pushing for a move toward digital learning. Textbook giant Pearson has already created a handful of digital learning experiences that replace most of the words in textbooks with interactive exercises. To gain access to them, students pay for a semester-long subscription service that works like Netflix. Fellow textbook producers McGraw-Hill and Houghton Mifflin Harcourt are also working on expanding their virtual content. Given the trend, it is likely that by 2050, traditional textbooks will be nearly obsolete in American schools. The next one, this is very scary. Self-driving cars will dominate American highways. By 2050, self-driving cars will no longer be a buzzword. They will be the reality of commuting by automobile in the United States and other developed countries. Numerous cars companies are developing self-driving cars or features. General Motors, for example, is working on Super Cruise, a highway function meant for wide open roads. BMW is testing out traffic jam assistance that lets cars move through traffic automatically during slow speed congestion. And Sartre is working on cars that drives each other, and Audi is developing a self-parking feature. Yeah, that's scary. And the next one. America will be less religiously affiliated. No surprise. That's been going on for many, many decades. But it says the number of people who define themselves as unaffiliated with any specific organized religion will double. That's not good. That's not good. That is not good. Just make the nation more ungodly as possible. So by 2050, yeah, this will be a satanic fucking country all the way around. Let me start over because that part just disturbed me. The number of people who define themselves as unaffiliated with any specific organized religion will double. According to Pew Research Center projections, moving from 50 million people in 2010 to roughly 100 million by 2050, the self-identification doesn't necessarily connote lack of spirituality or religious faith. It simply refers to people who don't connect their system of beliefs to one religious sect or denomination. Sounds good, but it's still very scary to know that many people will be like lacking any type of religious basis. Religious is probably not the way to go, but it teaches principle about worship and how to live. You know what I mean? So, moving on. The next one. More than 40% of the population will be overweight. According to a 2010 study by Harvard and Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the number of Americans considered obese could hit 42% or more by 2050. The figure, which is defined as body mass index or BMI of 30 or higher, has already tripled since the 1980s. The silver lining, however, is that once the number hits that 42% mark, it is anticipated to level out after that. Wow. Kill these fast food restaurants if you want to fix that problem. All right. Next one. Spanish will be the most spoken language. This is a little scary as well. In 2016, a nonprofit organization in Spain released a study suggesting that Spanish will be most spoken language in the United States by 2050, surpassing English with an estimate 470 million people. The projections for the U.S., which already has more Spanish speakers than both Spain and Colombia, were based on increasing numbers of Hispanic population and declining numbers of English speakers. Yet the prediction isn't a sure thing. The Pew Research Center indicates that percentage of Latinos who speak Spanish at home is declining as the younger generation speaks English, with increasing frequency. Still, whether or not the language surpasses English, it's clear that the nation's language composition will be very different by 2050. And the next one. Instead of medical transplants, new organs will be grown. What? Instead of medical transplants, new organs will be grown. What? God has to stop. Like, this has to stop. Anyway, as bioengineering technology improves, medical experts predict that American patients will grow new organs rather than rely on donors and transplants for things like livers, kidneys, and even hearts. Researchers are currently developing ways to grow them in labs with universal donor cells and other emerging technology. In the next 10 to 30 years, experts have predicted that organ transplants will become a thing of the past. They're getting away with too much shit. They're playing God too much. God will intervene at the correct moment. Believe that. All right, the next one. In 2015, NASA detailed plans to land on the red planet in a publication titled Journey to Mars. And since then, the space organization has targeted the 2030s as the goal for a Mars landing. Recent funding debates have prompted some people to speculate that the missions may get delayed to the 2050s if preliminary moon landings detract from the budget. Either way, however, it seems evident that 2050 will see the United States a lot closer to contact with the red planet. Y'all don't know how to mind y'all business. Y'all wanna discover everything, right? So the next one. So here's the next one. Virtually all Americans will use the internet. With smartphones, Apple Watches, and tablets on American streets, it would seem that everyone in the US was hooked up to the internet. But recent census data found that just 76.5% of Americans had smartphones and 77.4% had a computer or laptop. Furthermore, nearly 20% of households do not have an internet subscription. In 2050, experts predict that nearly 100% of the country will be on the internet as technology improves and access gets cheaper. Are you scared yet? Is y'all scared yet? All right. And I'm going to end it with that one right there, man. This is what they're saying is to be the new norm in about 30 years. And a lot of them we could see coming. A lot of them are just like mind-blowing, just blow your mind right out. Like, wait, what? One I seen that really kind of scared the shit out of me is the one that, it's a few. The one that says less people will be religious, that just simply means less people will be believing in God. Simple as that. You could say, yeah, they're going to practice what they believe in their house, but they don't call it a religion. I believe, honestly, if you take away these religions, you're pretty much snatching God's people away from him. So in 30 years, whatever people going to be believing in, it's not going to be God if they're going to be less religious. Okay? And the other one about not needing transplants because they're going to be artificially like growing, or you're going to be able to grow different body parts or double body parts or whatever, because everybody's born with a liver, but if you need another liver, you can just grow it. Like, this is going against God, like literally going against God. You know what I'm saying? A few of them scared the hell out of me. Like I said, a few of them I seen coming, so not all of them scared me, because some of them you could actually, you could trace, you could see them coming. Like, you know what's gonna be out here just by seeing certain things. Like they said in California, they already got the self serving in McDonald's where they're flipping 100. The robot is flipping 150 burgers in an hour. So it's already, and then the self-service shit is already in McDonald's right now. So I believe a lot of this, probably not all of it, but I believe a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? The one concerning Elon Musk, him building this way for people to get from one city to the next city in a quick flash, we could see that coming, obviously. You know what I'm saying? The fact that they saying that most of American highways is gonna they're saying that most of American highways is gonna be packed with self-driving cars or whatever like that. We could see that happening right now. So a lot of these is definitely gonna happen. I don't know if all of them. And there's a few more on here. I just didn't want to make the video long as hell. The video is still gonna be long as hell. Hopefully y'all stay throughout this whole video. It's very important. It's not trash. Um, and these are being researched by, you know, credible institutions, if y'all want to call them that. So it's not far-fetched to say they just saying whatever, trying to scare people. This is real shit right here. You know what I mean? And then NASA could have a human colony on the moon. Like, are you what the like what why? What's wrong with Earth? Like, these people really just playing with people just bored with life and just want to just explore and do crazy shit. This is crazy. But I'm gonna leave it right here. I don't even know how much I read off so far. It's a lot of them on here. Like I said, man, you know, get a relationship with God and keep it. This world is scary and it's getting no better. It's getting worse. So that's it, man. I appreciate your time. It's your boy, Give It Up 100, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning into another video. You heard? I'm out.